Okay? Alright. Hopefully this thing gets underway soon, because I'm not trying to be here until like 9 p.m. Okay, and here he is, shaking everybody's hands. Which is... it's also the way to get somebody up somewhere that may have trouble walking. You should pretend like they're shaking hands, but really they're just like... what's the thing? Crowd surfing. They're crowd surfing. Hi, Allison. Could you up your mic a bit, please? World Eater says. Allison, could you up your mic a bit? How do I do that? Go here, and then... Okay. How are the kids doing? Kids are the kids. We have 2 sick kids. They were puking yesterday. That's Amy, right? Oh, Amy. That's not Amy. Okay. All right, so we're just going to take forever to walk in. Did you know that the shortest State of the Union address was George Washington? And it was like 1,000 words long, 1,089 words, something like that. I looked that up today. And there are the fancy teleprompters that are glass you could see through. They have the words on them. Oh, there you can text President Biden 302-404-0880. Please, somebody send him a text and let me know. Okay. I showed the super chats.
Oh, did you already?
Yep. Drink if Nancy rubs her wrists. Okay. But Nancy's... is she not going to be up on the main stage tonight? Right? Okay, here we go. Oh, hi. Screw you, they're saying. No, they're probably saying nice things. Okay. Let's get this show on the way. They're probably collecting info on folks with the texting. Yeah, that's true. Someone said that on Locals. They're probably, Ann Walter, they're probably collecting info on folks with texting. Yeah, text President Biden and tell him if you're an extremist at 302-404-0880. Let him know if you're an extremist. It just quit on my TV.
Members
What
of
did?
Congress, I have the high privilege and the
Why are they
distinct
clapping
honor
so hard like
to
he did
present
something
to you
good?
The President of the United States.
Okay, here we go. President of the United States. Everyone's standing right now. I'll call you if I need you. Okay. All right.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you. You can smile. It's okay.
What do you guys prefer? That one?
Thank you.
This one? Or do you like this view or do you like this view?
Thank you. Please.
Which one? This view or this view? I guess I should call this one...
Mr. Speaker.
Let's call
Madam
this
Vice
one
President,
A,
our
and this is
First Lady
B.
and Second
A or
Gentleman,
B? This
good
is
to see you
B.
guys up there.
A.
Members
Do you like
of
A or
Congress,
B? Hello, but this will be unwatchable, James says. Not if you're watching it here. You're looking smashed in there? Smashed? Oh, I'm looking smashed. Okay, so you like it better in choice B, like this
By
one?
the way, Chief Justice,
Looks a
I
little
made
bit
you
better.
a
Okay,
court order.
2. All right, everybody likes 2. All right, we're going to stick with 2.
Game tomorrow. Next
Okay.
week. I have
The
to stay home.
non-smashed one. You are squished on the right. Okay, all right, I'm going to shut up now.
Members of the Cabinet, leaders of our military, Chief Justice, Associate Justice, and retired Justice of the Supreme Court, and to you, my fellow Americans. You know, I start tonight by congratulating the 118th Congress and the new Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, no drama there. There was no drama there. No drama. No drama. Text President Biden, are you an extremist? 302-404-0880.
And I want to congratulate the new leader of the House Democrats, the first African-American minority leader in history, Hakeem Jeffries.
Okay.
You want to display the fact I can't
Biden's
answer.
audio is low.
Congratulations, the longest serving leader in the history of the United States.
Is it low for everybody else?
Mitch McConnell. Where are you, Mitch?
Is it low for everybody else? Not a banned account. Thank you. I see on this screen it says best president for women's rights in history,
To Chuck Schumer, another,
but I don't. I can't see it
you know,
on the
another
screen, so I don't know if that really
term
says that.
Senate
Okay.
Minority leader.
It says
You know, I think
Biden's
you,
volume is low.
Well, this time you have a slightly bigger majority, Mr. Leader. You're the majority leader. About that much bigger?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this
Well,
better?
I tell you what.
Can you
I wanna
hear
give
him better
special
now?
Special recognition to someone who I think is going to be considered
Better?
the
Okay.
greatest speaker in the
Good.
history of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi.
HDMI 2. And not HDMI 1. This is my first watch party for the State of the Union. And first time I'm probably going to watch it from front to back.
Folks,
There's Maxine
the story
Waters.
of America is a story of progress and resilience, of always moving forward, of never, ever giving up. It's a story unique among all nations. We're the only country that has emerged from every crisis we've ever entered stronger than we got into it. Look, folks, that's what we're doing again. 2 years ago, the economy was reeling. I stand here tonight after we've created, with the help of many people in this room, 12 million new jobs. More jobs created in 2 years than any president's created in 4 years because of you all, because of the American people.
Okay, what do we think about that statement?
2 years ago,
Biden is looking really old. Yeah, he does look old.
2 years ago, COVID had shut down.
He
our
sounds
businesses
older.
were closed. Our schools were robbed
First
of
lie.
so much. And
So
today,
says.
COVID no longer controls our lives. And 2 years ago, democracy faced its greatest threats. since
COVID
Civil
no
War.
longer
Today,
controls our lives
though
because
bruised,
you guys
our
were the
democracy
ones that were
remains
controlling our
unbowed
lives.
and unbroken.
Not COVID. COVID no longer controls our lives like COVID was controlling our lives, not the Biden administration and all the other politicians.
As we gather here
Brian
tonight,
can't listen to this. Come on, you got to
we're
listen
writing
to it
the
with
next
us.
chapter in the great American
Strength
story,
in numbers.
a story of progress and resilience. When
Yeah,
world
because of
leaders
all the
ask me
lost
to
jobs
define
from
America,
COVID.
and they do,
Right,
believe
he
it or
created
not,
all these new jobs because there's so
I can
many
define it in
people
one
getting
word,
employed
and
after
I mean
losing their
it.
jobs because of COVID.
Possibilities. We
Lie.
don't think anything is beyond our capacity. Everything
We need
is
a collective
possibility.
BS meter chat, yes.
You know, we're often told that Democrats and Republicans can't work together. But
They
over
can't.
the past 2 years, we've proved the cynics and naysayers wrong. Yes, we disagreed plenty. And yes, there were times when Democrats went alone. But time and again, Democrats and Republicans came together to defend a stronger and safer Europe. You came together to pass once in a generation infrastructure law, building bridges connecting our nation and our people. We came together to pass the most significant law ever, helping victims exposed to toxic burn pits. And in fact,
Didn't George Carlin say bipartisanship is just getting effed two ways? Wasn't that the quote?
it was important. And in fact, I signed over 300 bipartisan pieces of legislation since becoming president, from reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act, the Electoral Count Reform Act, the Respect for Marriage Act that protects the right to marry the person you love. And to my Republican friends, if we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well. I think folks,
Do you ever notice how, like, some people stand up after basically being peer pressured to? Pay attention during this, like, who stands up right away and then who stands up after a few seconds.
power for the sake of power, conflict for the sake of conflict gets us nowhere.
Text Biden if
That's
you're an
always been my
extremist,
vision of our country, and I know it's many of
302-404-0880, so they can send the
Restore
FBI to
soul of
give
this
you a
nation,
free
rebuild
Allison
the
Wine promo
backbone of
tonight.
America, America's middle class,
kidding.
and to unite the country. We've been sent here to finish the job, in my view. For decades, the middle class has been hollowed out in more than, and not no one administration, but for a long time. Too many good-paying manufacturing jobs move overseas. Factories closed down. Once thriving cities and towns that many of you represent became shadows of what they used to be. Along the way, something else we lost: pride, our sense of self-worth. I ran for president to fundamentally change things, to make sure our economy works for everyone.
Deserves to be egged.
So we can all
what does it
feel
sound
that
like,
pride
you guys,
in what
when
we
I
do.
talk and Biden's
Building
talking at the
economy
same
from the
time?
bottom
Am
up
I
and
louder
out,
than he is,
not
or
from
does
the
he
top down?
overrule me? What does
Because
it
when the
sound
middle
like?
class does well, the poor have a ladder up, and the wealthy still
They
do
probably
very
put
well.
electric
We all do
buzzers
well.
under their seats to get them to stand. That's funny. See, watch for the people who just stand up after their friends do.
I always quoting my dad, but my dad used to say, "Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck." He really would say this.
I'm
It's about a
louder.
lot
Okay,
more than a
good. So you
paycheck.
can hear me over him?
It's about
Because
your
I'm not sure,
dignity.
should I mute him
It's
or
about
just talk
respect.
over him?
It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, "Honey, it's going to be okay," and mean it.
Honey?
Folks, so let's look at the results. We're not finished yet by any stretch of the imagination, but unemployment rate is at 3.4%, a 50-year low.
Just talk over him. Okay, I will. He's not saying
record
anything.
Unemployment.
You're louder than Biden, which is okay with me. Just talk
Near
over
record
him.
unemployment for black and Hispanic workers.
Hurry, get an
We've
electric
already
buzz
created,
sound effect when
with
they
your help,
stand.
800,000
That's a good idea.
good-paying manufacturing jobs. The fastest growth in
The real
40
question
years.
is, who makes more sense? Wait, where did it go?
And where is it written?
Something about
Where is it written?
who makes
that
more sense, the
America
producer
can't lead
or
the world in manufacturing? I
Biden?
don't know where that's written.
Definitely the
For
producer.
too many decades, we imported projects and exported jobs. Now, thanks to what you've all done, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Folks, inflation has been a global problem because the pandemic disrupted our supply chains, and Putin's unfair and brutal war in Ukraine disrupted energy supplies as well as food supplies,
He's blamed
blocking all that
everybody.
grain in Ukraine.
Putin,
But we're better positioned than any country on earth right
COVID.
now. But we have more to do. But here at home, inflation is coming down. Here at home, gas prices are down $1.50 from their peak. Food inflation is coming down, not fast enough, but coming down. Inflation has fallen every month for the last 6 months, while take-home pay has gone up. Additionally, over the last 2 years, a record 10 million Americans
weird
applied to
segue.
start new businesses. 10 million. And by the way, every time
Okay, we got a lot of BS's in here.
someone
Lie.
starts a small business, it's an act
BS.
of hope.
Are there a lot of
Madam
vacant
Vice
seats?
President, I
There
wanna
do look
thank
like there are
you
a decent amount of
for
vacant
leading that
seats.
effort to ensure the small
But
businesses
is that
have
because
access
it's just
to
so
capital.
late? I mean, I would never go to
and
this
the
if it was
historic
on the
laws
East
to be
Coast.
enacted
You know, for
that
me
don't
at
just
9
come into
p.m., I'm
being.
definitely asleep by
Standing
9
here
p.m.
last
Only
year,
reason I'm even doing this right
I
now
shared
is
with you
because
the
it's 6
story
p.m. my time.
Of American genius and possibilities.
I see corn pop up there in the nosebleed
Small
seats
computer
next to
chips the
Paul
size of a
Pelosi.
fingerprint that power everything, from cell phones
Wait.
to automobiles and so much more.
Inflation is coming
These
down.
chips were
Lie, lie,
invented
lie.
in America. Let's get that straight. They were invented in America.
More to do isn't an upside.
We used to make 40% of the world's chips. In the last several decades, we lost our edge. We're down to only producing 10%. We all saw what happened during the pandemic when chip factories shut down overseas.
Is it just me, or does it
Today's
sound like he's saying
automobiles
chips?
need 3,000 chips each of those automobiles.
Yeah.
But American automobiles couldn't
The
make
translation
enough
is
cars
picking
because
up
there weren't enough
chips.
chips. Car prices went up.
Is he saying
People
chips or
got laid
ships?
off. So did everything.
Like,
from
is he talking
refrigerators to
about
cell phones?
Potato
We can
chips?
never let
Or is he
that
talking
happen
about
again.
chips?
That's why. That's why we came together to pass the Bipartisan Chips and Science Act.
Yeah, get some wine. Boy, I feel like I got hit by a brick. I just walked into his speech, and I feel like I need a big glass of your wine, Allison. Let's call this AllisonWinePromo.com. So take a sip of whatever you're drinking, AllisonWinePromo.com. We got super chat from Bill saying, Lily Jack 2024, those are our kids. Change we can believe in. And by change, he means diapers.
In America.
Chips. So he's saying
begins
chips?
in America.
I mean, is that real? Like chips, like,
We've already
okay,
created.
semiconductor chips. Okay. That's why Ron says poker chips on a casino chip. That's what I was
We've already
wondering. I was
created.
wondering if it was talking about
800,000
Frito-Lay
new
or
manufacturing
what?
Jobs without this law, before the law.
Computerized tortilla chips. Yeah, chocolate
With this new
chips.
law, we're gonna create hundreds of
Okay,
thousands
I
of
could
new
get into
jobs
that.
across the
Go
country.
chips.
I mean, all across the country. throughout not just the coast, but through
Who's
the middle
drinking
of
an
the country
IPA?
as well.
That's my favorite kind
That's
of
going
beer.
to come from companies.
I mean, he is
that
the
have announced
potato
more than
in chief, so of course he's talking about potato chips.
$300 billion in investment
Okay.
in American manufacturing over the next few
I've
years.
missed the last 5 minutes of the speech,
Outside
so I got to go
Columbus,
back to listening
Ohio,
for a second.
Intel is building semiconductor factories on 1,000 acres, literally a field of dreams. It's going to create 10,000 jobs, that one investment.
Text President Biden if you're an
7,000
extremist.
construction
302-404-0880.
jobs in those factories.
They just
once
forgot
they're
to put
finished.
if you're an
They call them
extremist on the
factories.
bottom line there, so I'm just
Jobs
adding it
paying
for you.
an average of $130,000 a year.
Okay.
And many do not require a college degree.
Chocolate chip cookie dough over ice cream sounds pretty good right now. Insert the
Jobs.
Chips TV show theme song. That's pretty good.
Because we work together, these jobs where people don't have to leave home to search for opportunity. And it's just getting started. Think about the new homes, the small businesses, the medium-sized businesses. So much more that's going to be needed to support those 3,000.
Do you notice how he left out
jobs
big businesses?
and the factories that are going to be built? Talk to mayors and
Small
governors,
businesses,
Democrats and
medium-sized
Republicans,
businesses.
and they'll tell you what this means for their communities. We're seeing these field of dreams transform to the heartland. But to maintain the strongest economy in the
Text
world,
President
we
Biden
need
if
the
you're an
best
extremist at
infrastructure in the world.
302-404-0880.
And folks,
What are they really doing with those
As
texts,
you all
y'all? Come
know,
on. Come on. I think the person who said
we
that they're
used to be
using it for
number
Intel
one
is
in the world
on
in
the money.
infrastructure.
OMG finally got Winco
sunk
in
to
California to carry
13th in
hers
the
chips.
world.
They are the
United
best.
States of America,
Um,
13th in the world in infrastructure, modern infrastructure.
Okay.
And now we're coming back.
13th,
because
that's
we
not a
came
lucky
together and
number.
passed the bipartisan infrastructure law. The largest investment
I think they
in
made that
infrastructure
up. You
since
know
President
how
Eisenhower's
80% of
interstate highway
statistics
system.
are made up on the spot? Okay, why do the people in the military not stand up for the Supreme Court? Is that because they're supposed to be
Folks.
nonpartisan, or they're just angry,
Already
or they're judging? What's going on there? Is that because they're not supposed to be partisan? Why are they just sitting there?
Airports from Boston to Atlanta to Portland. Projects that are going to put
He is
thousands
talking
of people
about
to
what
work
his
rebuilding
brain
our
is made of,
highways, our
potato
bridges,
chips.
Our railroads, our tunnels, ports, airports, clean water.
I'm not supposed to
high-speed
eat
internet,
potatoes
all across
because
America.
they're inflammatory for
Urban,
my gut,
rural,
so
tribal. And
I
folks,
can't eat potato chips.
We're just getting started. We're just getting started.
How do you slur your speech in sign language? Someone wants to know. I'm trying to
And I
find
mean it
that one.
sincerely.
They never stand
I
up.
want to
Okay.
thank my
They
Republican
don't stand.
friends who voted
All right.
for the law.
Here we go. How do you
My
slur your
Republican
speech in
friends who
sign
voted
language?
against it as well. But I still get asked to fund the projects in those districts as well. But don't worry. I promised I'd be a president for all Americans. We'll fund these projects.
Okay.
And I'll see you at the groundbreaking.
Okay, Joe. He'll see us at the groundbreaking.
Look,
Okay, this is a question I have then. Like,
this law.
I understand we just expect these things to be
this law
partisan,
will
but
further unite all of
if
America.
all the people who are supposed to be
Projects like
nonpartisan
Spence Bridge in Kentucky over the
are
Ohio River.
not standing up
Built 60 years
because
ago.
doesn't this
Badly
just prove
needed
this is a
repairs, one of
show?
the nation's most
Why do we do
congested
this?
freight routes,
I mean,
turning
honestly, it's just isn't
$2
this just kind of like a
billion
campaign
worth of
speech
freight
that we're
every
paying for? I
single
mean, just
day
kind of
across the Ohio River.
dumb. Like,
folks,
they're basically
we're
admitting
talking
that
about
this is
fixing
just
this for
totally
decades.
partisan theater. So
And
why
we're
do we
really finally
even
gonna
have
get
it
it done.
if these people do
I
not
went
stand
there
up?
last
Doesn't make
month
any sense.
with Democrats and Republicans and from both states to deliver a commitment of $1.6
Does anyone know why
billion
Joe
for this
Biden
project.
or like lots of presidents I've noticed don't wear wedding rings? Can
While I
somebody
was
explain that
there,
to me? Why don't they ever like? I don't
met
think
a
Trump
young
wore one
woman
either.
named Sarah.
Why don't they wear their
Was
wedding
Sarah
ring?
not? I don't know where Sarah is. Is she up in the box? I don't know. Sarah, how are
Okay,
you?
at least she's still alive. Because didn't
Well,
he look
Sarah,
for somebody
for
who was
30
dead
years,
once?
For 30 years,
What's
I
tradition?
learned,
Oh, the
she
State
told
of
me
the
she'd been a
Union.
proud
Okay,
member of the
here,
Iron
just
Workers
tradition.
Local
Jason
44,
says.
known as
I know it's tradition, but it kind of has turned into a little bit. It's gone. It goes longer now,
known
and
as the Cowboys in the Sky.
okay.
folks
I don't
is
know.
built.
I'm sorry if what we're talking about right now is very
Built
serious
Cincinnati
because
skyline.
I didn't.
Sarah said she can't wait to.
I didn't see
10
what we're
stories
talking
above
about.
the Ohio River, building that new bridge. God bless her.
Building a bridge. She's building a bridge.
That's pride. And that's what we're also building. We're building back pride. Look, we're also replacing poisonous lead pipes that go into 10 million homes.
Joe
in
ate
there.
his ring.
400,000 school and child care centers. So every child in America.
Trump's wife didn't like
every
him to
child in
hold her
America can
hand,
drink
so
the water
there is
instead of
that.
having
I didn't know
permanent
that. Is
damage
that
to their
true?
brain. We're making
Trump's
sure.
wedding ring made it harder to pick up chicks. That's why I quit wearing mine.
We're making sure.
That's bad. Oops.
That
Okay, hang
every
on.
community-
It's kind of like the
every
Oscars for
community in
Washington,
America
D.C.
has
Yeah,
access
that's
to
totally true.
affordable
That is
high-speed
kind of what it
internet.
is.
No parent should have to
Okay.
drive by McDonald's parking lot to help do
My
their
wedding
homework
ring doesn't
online
fit
with their kids,
anymore. Wait,
which
hang on,
many
Jason. Here we
thousands
go.
are doing across the country.
Yeah, but he could put on
And
something,
when we
get a
do
new,
these
you know, they make
projects-
those ones you can wear to the
And
gym
again,
that
I
are
get
rubber,
criticized
and you
this,
just
but I
put them
make no
on.
excuses
Like
for
if
it.
you're going to go
We're
swimming,
gonna
you wear that.
buy American. We're going to buy America.
Hard to watch, Allison. Why? Why is it hard to watch? Biden or because of my presentation? What are his
And
accomplishments?
it's
I would
totally
like to hear
consistent
someone
with
read the speech from
international trade rules.
1823. Okay,
Buy
I can look
America's
that
been
up.
the law since 1933, but for too long, past administrations, Democrat and Republican, have
Okay.
fought to get around it. Not anymore.
Let's see.
Tonight,
it would
I'm
be
announcing
smart
new standards
to
that
not
require
wear a
all
ring.
construction
Oh, these
materials
chats are coming in
used in
fast
federal
these days, or
infrastructure
wear a
projects
substitute.
to be made in America. Made in America.
He needs a cereal box secret decoder box.
I mean it.
Okay, traditions with no meaning and no usefulness.
Lumber.
Just plain silly. When
Glass,
people can only use its
drywall,
tradition as the
fiber
only
optic
reason,
cable.
then it's time to break those
And
silly
I might
traditions.
watch American
Yeah, tell me
roads,
why
bridges,
we have it as a
American highways are
tradition.
gonna be made with American
Still.
products as well. Folks,
There are a lot of traditions that
my
we've
economic
decided
plan is about
we're not going to do
investing in
anymore, right?
places and people
All right, let me check
that have
locals.
been
I've got to check the
forgotten.
locals chat and see how everybody's doing
so
over
many of
there.
you listen to you tonight.
Um,
I know you feel it.
I don't know why those
many
military
of you felt
folks
like
are
you
even
just should
there.
have
The
been
restrictions on participating in a
Made the
political
economic
event, so they have to
upheaval
avoid
of the
any
past 4
appearance
decades.
of favoring any.
Too many people have been
Yeah,
left
but I mean,
behind.
we all know they're
treated
they're all
like
like
they're
appointed, right? I
Maybe
mean,
that's you watching
I don't
from home.
know. Come on, the Supreme Court, like
Remember
this is
the
the whole
jobs that
reason
went
you want to
away. You
vote your
remember,
person in
don't
for
you?
president, right? Because you know they're going to pick
folks at
Supreme
home
Court
remember.
justices.
You wonder
Is it a
whether the
secret?
past even
Is it a
exists
secret that they're
anymore
partisan?
for your
I don't
children to
understand.
get ahead
It's
without having to
obviously a
move
partisan
away.
group of people.
Well, that's why
Okay, Wells
I
Morgensen,
get
thank
that.
for the tip on locals. Think of
why
all those
we're building an
SMB supporting
economy
corporations making
where no
chips.
one's left
What does
behind.
SMB stand for?
Jobs are
Especially
coming
after
back.
we slayed their
Pride
previous
is
business
coming
plans.
back.
Oh, small, medium
Because
businesses,
choices
maybe.
we made in the
Previous
last
plans in
several
the last
years.
3 years.
You
Yeah.
know,
Good
this
for those.
is, in my view, a
Locals is
blue-collar
boring, but your
blueprint to rebuild
presentation is
America.
awesome. Thanks.
Make a
He
real
just said
difference
America
in your
first and
lives
got
at
a
home.
standing ovation.
For example,
Well, it's one of the few days that
many
they
of
like
you.
America.
lay in bed at night like my dad did.
Okay.
Staring at
My
the
dad
ceiling,
wore his wedding
wondering
ring on his wedding day. The next
what in
time he
God's
wore it was
name's
my wedding
happened
day. Said he wasn't a
if
jewelry
your
person.
spouse
Okay.
gets
I mean
cancer,
I guess that makes sense. I didn't know.
your
I
child
don't know why.
gets deadly
Maybe
ill,
it's a generational
or
thing.
something happens to you. What are you going to have? You get money to pay for those medical bills?
Oh, good.
You're
We're
gonna
talking
have
about
to
medical
sell the
bills.
house
I lost
or
my
try to get a second
health
mortgage
insurance
on it.
when the government fired
get
me
it.
over my podcast. So I'm
get
very
it.
interested to hear this part.
With the Inflation Reduction Act that I signed into law, we're taking on powerful interests to bring health care costs down so you can sleep better at night with more security. You know, we pay more for prescription drugs than any nation in the world. Let me say it again. We pay more for prescription drugs than
Text
any
President Biden
major
if you're an
nation
extremist.
on Earth.
302-404-0880.
1 in 10
Text the
Americans
word
has
extremist.
diabetes.
That's what we should
Many
do,
of you
y'all.
in
Let
this
everybody
chamber
start
do.
texting
And in
extremists
the
to that number at the same
But every
time.
day,
and see
millions
what
need insulin to
happens.
control their diabetes.
Let's see what happens when
so
we
they
do
can
that.
literally stay alive. Insulin's been around for over 100 years. The guy who invented it didn't even patent it because he wanted to be
Is it?
available
Remember
for
when they said they
cost
were
of
like
drug
fighting
companies
Big Pharma
roughly
or something a year or so
$10 a
ago,
vial to make that insulin.
and it was
Packaging and
after
all, you may
basically
get
they
up to
were
$13.
working with Big Pharma for
But Big
the
Pharma
entire
has been
COVID
unfairly charging people
COVID
hundreds of dollars,
shot
$400 to
rollout
$500 a
and
month.
getting
making record
them millions
profits.
and bazillions of
Not
dollars, and they're like, no,
anymore.
we're fighting Big Pharma.
Not
Oh, they're all
anymore.
jumping up. What happened? What I missed? Oh, something about Big Pharma not making record profits or something. Is that what he just said? What a joke. What did he just say? Something about profits. Oh, that is Bono.
So many things that we did are only now coming to fruition. We said we were doing this, and we said we passed the law to do it, but people didn't know because the law didn't take effect until January 1 of this year. We capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors on Medicare. People are just finding out.
Look at Nancy.
I'm sure you're
I
getting the
didn't
same
know.
calls I'm getting.
What's insulin?
Look, there are millions of other Americans who do not or are not on Medicare.
Joe said he beat Big
including
Pharma when he kind of reduced the
200,000
price of
young
insulin.
people
Oh, that's what he just
with
said?
type 1 diabetes
Oh, give me a
need
break.
this insulin
That is
to stay alive.
the whole we beat
Let's
Big
finish the
Pharma
job
thing
this
is the
time.
dumbest,
Let's cap the cost
dumbest
for
piece of
everybody at
propaganda that I hear
$35.
these people saying after the last few years. I mean, really. Really. How can they possibly in their brains think that even makes sense? That doesn't even make any sense. And what is Big Pharma? Okay, like Big Pharma. I mean, who is Big Pharma? Like,
Big
who's
Pharma
they?
is
Who's the
still gonna do
NFL?
very
Let me
well,
tell you
I
that story
promise
another
you.
time.
I promise you.
Or should I
they
just
do
tell you
very
now?
well.
You want me to tell you my story about the
This
NFL? I
also-
mean,
this
while
law
he's
also
talking.
caps and won't even go into
Joe
effect
made a Bono.
until
Oh, I don't want to
2025.
say that. They slipped into a
Costs,
seat.
out-of-pocket drug costs for seniors on Medicare.
Okay,
at
they
a
gave
maximum
Pharma
of
record profits. Joe made a
$2,000 year. You don't
Bono
have to
and it
pay more
slipped
than
into a
$2,000
seat.
No matter how much your
He
drug
says
costs
MAGA
are.
are terrorists. Yeah.
You know why?
It's
You
like
all
we're
know
watching a cyborg movie.
Many
What
of
a
you,
joke.
like many of my
No,
family,
they will
have
freeze your
cancer.
banks as a trick. List
You
will
know
be
the
made a
drugs
target
can
list.
range
Name
from
one free
10,
communist country.
11,
Freedom is a
14,
swear word to communists.
$15,000
Were we talking about
for
communism?
cancer
When did we
drug.
start talking about communism?
The drug prices rise faster.
He's
than
just
inflation.
selling
Drug
hard
companies
to
are gonna have
boomers.
pay Medicare back
I-
the difference.
Just don't
finally.
understand. I don't understand how after the last
finally
few
giving
years
Medicare the
of
power
basically
to negotiate
pushing
drug prices.
every major
Bringing down-
pharmaceutical company's talking points, you can
Bringing
possibly
down
say you beat
prescription
Big
drug
Pharma.
costs doesn't just
How
save
do they get
seniors
away?
money.
I just don't understand. How in your
Cuts
brain do
the
you?
federal deficit
How does that happen?
by billions of dollars?
That would be like me saying
By
I
hundreds of
beat
billions of
Allison
dollars.
Wine promo.
Because these prescription
You know,
drugs
you guys, I beat
drugs
wine.
purchased
I beat wine
by
companies. I beat
Medicare
vineyards
to
this year.
make-
I beat them.
keep their
Okay,
commitment to the
I was in battle with
guess
them.
what?
I mean, I sell it,
Instead of paying
and it
$400
keeps me in
$500
business and
a month, you're paying
everything.
$15.
And I drink
That's
it.
a lot of savings for the federal government.
I tell you to buy it,
And by
but
the way,
I beat them.
why would
I
we
beat
want
wine. This was the year I beat wine.
Now some members here are threatening. And I know it's not an official party.
Drink
position,
every
so
time he says
I'm not-
folks.
I'm going to exaggerate.
Go to AllisonWinePromo.com
threatening to
every
repeal the
time he
Inflation
says
Reduction
folks.
Act.
Okay?
As my coach. That's okay.
I heard him say
That's
finally
fair.
and thought it was ending.
As my football coach used to say, lots of luck in your senior year.
I don't get it.
Make no mistake. If you try anything to raise the cost of prescription drugs, I will veto it.
I didn't.
Look.
I think he said prescription drugs, but it sort of rolled off the tongue as something else.
I'm pleased to say
Yeah, I beat
that
Big
more
Wine.
Americans
Exactly,
have
Big
health
Wine.
insurance
I
now
beat
than
Big
ever in
Wine.
history.
That would
A
be
record
like me
16
saying I
million
beat Big
people
Wine.
enrolled
That's
in the
totally
Affordable
true.
Care Act. And thanks
Yet,
to the law I
and yet
signed
that's how I
last
say in
year,
business.
saving
I'm just going to
millions
drink.
are saving
LOL. Okay, just do it
$800 a year
whenever.
on their premiums. By the way, that law
Didn't
was
Trump
written,
do all this stuff he's
the
taking credit
benefit
for?
expires in
Maybe. I have no
2025.
idea.
so my
I wish
plea
I
to
knew
some
more
of you,
about
at least, to
what
this
was going on
audience,
in
let's finish the job
this
and make
speech.
these
But
savings
number
permanent.
one, I'm not really paying attention.
Expand coverage of
And number
Medicaid.
two, I don't know, the last piece of news I really was paying attention to, like I said at the beginning of the stream, was when they shot
Look,
down that guy who was proposing to his girlfriend in the
Inflation
Chinese
Reduction Act
balloon.
is
You
also
know,
the
that guy
most
from
significant
China that was
investment
like, hey,
ever
let's
in
go.
climate change.
Let's go. I'm going to give you a tour of
Ever.
America. Get in my hot air balloon. We're going to take
Lowering
lunch
utility
with
bills.
us and
Creating
some
American
chips,
jobs.
because President Biden
Leading
loves
the
chips,
world
because
with
he was
clean
talking
energy
about it for
future.
like
I
10
visited
minutes.
devastating
So
aftermath
we're going to bring some
of record
chips with
floods,
us,
droughts,
made in
storms, and
America,
wildfires.
thanks to President Biden
From
and all the
Arizona
chip
to
jobs that he
Mexico to all
created,
the way up to the
potato chips,
Canadian
tortilla
border.
chips. What other kinds of
More
chips?
timber has been burned by birds and
Quinoa
helicopters
chips,
than
bean
the
chips. Have
entire
you ever tried
state of
bean chips? They're
Missouri.
really good. So anyway,
We
so this
don't have
Chinese
global
guy
warming, not a problem.
and his
In
fiance
addition to
get in the
emergency
balloon.
recovery,
They've got all the
from Puerto Rico to
chips
Florida to
that
Idaho,
was
we're
promised
rebuilding
by
for
the
the
Biden
long term.
administration.
New
And
electric
some
grid,
Allison Wine
ready for
promo,
weather,
and he's
major
like,
storms
okay,
and not
today's the
prevent
day.
those
I'm going to
forest fires.
propose.
Roads and
And
water
they're
systems will
they're
stand the
over all
next
these, so
big
they get over the
flood.
Rockies, and he's
Clean
showing the
energy to cut
Rockies,
pollution,
and then
create
you know
jobs in communities often
the
left behind.
the
We're gonna
amber
build
waves of
500,000
grain and
electric
all this
vehicle
stuff,
charging
and
stations installed
and
that'll
then he's
cost
like,
the
okay,
country
the ocean,
by
and this is
tens
where he's
of
going to do it,
thousands of
right?
IBEW
Because it's
workers.
going to be sunset over the
And
ocean, except for not, because
we're
he's on the
helping families save
east
more
side
than
and the
$1,000
sun sets
a
in
year
the
with
west,
tax
but
credits.
pretend that it would work, and
Purchase
he's like
electric
kneeling
vehicles
down,
and
and then they get
efficient
shot out of the sky,
efficient
and it totally ruins
appliances, energy-efficient
his
appliances.
proposal.
Historic
And I'm trying to get that
conservation
guy on.
efforts to be responsible stewards of our
Nacho
land.
chips,
Let's face
cow
reality.
chips. That would be
Climate
funny
crisis
if
doesn't care if you're
Kyle
in a
Chits.
red or blue state.
Utilities, gas is up over
It's an
375%.
existential fact. We have an
It's
obligation
definitely,
to
I'll
look for
give
ourselves
him
and for our
this. I mean,
children
I don't
and
think it's
grandchildren to
him
confront
who
it.
did this or anything, but
I'm proud of how
because he probably
how
made it
America
worse at the
last
beginning.
is
So
stepping up to the
just bringing
challenge.
it back down to where it was
We're
is
still
not
gonna need
an
oil and gas
accomplishment.
for a while.
But anyway,
But guess what?
when we
No,
first got our
we
diesel
do.
truck, I filled it up for the first time.
But
It was
there's so
it
much
capped
more
at
to do.
$175. I almost died. Did
gotta
you see my
finish the
video on our
job.
Off-Kurdish Living channel?
We pay for
Okay,
these
text
investments
President
for our
Biden
future by
extremist
finally making the
302-404-0880.
wealthiest and biggest corporations begin
See
to
what
pay
happens.
their fair share.
So, okay, what are we standing
Just
up?
began.
Let's look. That's a fancy suit with the diamonds on the seams. That's fancy.
Look, I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist, but pay your
He's a
fair share.
capitalist.
I think a lot of you at home agree with me and many people that you know. The tax system is not fair. It is not fair.
Yeah, I mean, we're paying for stuff that we shouldn't be paying for, right?
Look,
Okay.
the
What do we think about the
idea
tax system?
that in 2020, 55 of the largest corporations in America, the Fortune 500, made $40 billion in profits.
All that hot air is
Paid
called global
zero in
warming.
federal
Isn't
taxes?
Biden causing an excessive
Zero?
carbon dioxide? Yes,
Whoa.
hit the like.
It's simply not fair.
Extremist equals freedom lover.
now,
Why are our
because of the
factories
law I
in communist
signed,
countries? We were all sold out a
billion-dollar
long time
companies
ago.
have
There
to
was
pay a
no left and
minimum
right. It's all a show.
15%. God love them.
Do you think maybe
15%.
corporations are going to pay their fair share of
That's less
Pfizer?
than a
Yeah,
nurse
no.
pays.
Do you think maybe they do the State of the Union the way it is to
Let me
keep
be crystal clear. I
this-
said at the very beginning.
this
Under
illusion
my
of right
plans, as
versus
long as
left?
I'm
Because it's
president,
like
nobody earning less than
it's physically that way in the
$400,000 will pay an
building.
additional
There are the
penny
Republicans,
in
there are
taxes.
Democrats. You could see who the
Nobody,
people are
not one
that are
penny.
sitting and the people who are standing.
Well,
And
let's
so
finish the
it makes you
job.
really feel
There's
like you've
more
got
to
a
do.
team, you know, because they do this theater, right? Oh, look,
We have
those
to
people are
reward
sitting. That
work,
means I
not
got
just
people who are
wealth.
opposing them, you know, who are there to fight
Pass
for
my
me.
proposal for the billionaire
Instead of
minimum tax.
it
You
just
know,
really being all of them are
There's
basically the
1,000
same.
billionaires in America.
So it's
up
just
from
it
about
they just keep
600 at the
doing State of the
beginning.
Union because it gives us
No
this
billionaire
illusion that
should be
there's
paying a
actually
lower
like
tax rate than a school teacher or
real
firefighter.
opposition,
I
you know,
mean it.
which there isn't.
Think about it.
Yeah, kind of an illusion. Yeah, it's all an illusion. LOL. I may
mean,
not owe taxes this
look.
year. YouTube ad revenue was what? I'm looking at it. Oh, it was horrible. Oh, it was terrible. Oh my gosh, if I was depending on YouTube ad revenue, you guys,
Think about it.
I couldn't even afford
Have
the
you
insulin
noticed
he's talking
big
about
oil
at
just reporting his
$35.
profits
I couldn't.
with
I could
the
only
profits.
afford his chips. I could.
Last year they
Maybe I
made
couldn't even afford his chips if I was just relying on
billion
YouTube. They have really shadow
in the
banned.
midst of a global energy crisis.
What about a unibrow?
I think it's outrageous.
What about a unibrow? It's called the
Why?
Uniparty,
They
but what
invested
about a
too little of
unibrow?
that profit
Who
to
has the
increase
best
domestic
unibrow in
production.
Congress? Let's take a vote in the
And when I
comment
talk to a
section.
couple
The
of them, they
best
say, "We're afraid we're
unibrow
gonna shut down all the
in
oil-
Congress.
all
Because
the,
I would say
oil
they
refineries
probably,
anyway, so why should we invest in them?
I would say they
I said, we're gonna
probably
need
do
oil
wax his
for at least
eyebrows.
another
I'm going to
decade.
just take a guess.
And that's
Why do
gonna
I think
exceed
that?
it.
Because,
that.
okay, so
We're gonna
side
need
view of
it.
his eyebrows right now, and you can kind of see him
Production.
sticking out. I mean, you know, older guys, they
If
tend to
had,
have
in
really
fact,
bushy
invested in
eyebrows.
production to keep
I'm
gas
gonna
prices
I'm
down.
gonna just
Instead,
guess they kind of
they
do a
use
little bit
record
of,
profits
you
to
know,
buy back
I
their
mean,
own stock.
manscaping, right? There's
Rewarding
nothing
the
wrong with that. I'm
CEOs
not
and
gonna fault him for
shareholders.
that.
Corporations ought to
Okay,
do
I'm
the
going
right
back to.
thing.
Can we see AOC dance again?
That's
Did
why
she
I
dance
propose
already?
we quadruple the tax on corporate stock buybacks and encourage long-term investments.
Okay. See, yeah,
They'll
how, you
still
see
make
how the grumpy
considerable
people in the
profit.
front are sitting there looking at. Look, see how the
Let's
people over here,
finish
they're
the
all
job
sitting
and
down
close
looking
the loopholes
grumpy.
and allow
So
very wealthy to
it does.
avoid
It kind
paying
of makes
the
you think
taxes.
that they're like
Instead of
against each
cutting
other
the
when they're
number of
not
audits
really. I
for
mean,
wealthy
they're all kind of
taxpayers.
working together,
I
right?
just signed
Which
a law
type
to
of
reduce the
insulin did
deficit by
Joe make cheap again? All
$114
types or
billion
one that sells the
by
least? I don't know. That's what
cracking
Wells
down on
Mortensen's
wealthy
asking on
tax cheats.
locals. Somebody else in the
That's
chat, what
being
insulin is he
fiscally
talking about?
responsible.
I hope Joe builds a mega factory taking care of all the chips on all the shoulders of
last
his
2
populace.
years,
Sooner the better. You know, talking about
My
these like
administration
mega
has cut the deficit
factories,
by more than $1.7
two journalists are coming on next
trillion
Monday
dollars.
because Seattle,
The
or
largest
King County
deficit
technically,
reduction
is
in
building
American
a
history.
megaplex for homeless, which I
Under
don't
the
really quite
previous
understand.
administration,
However, they were
American
giving a
deficits
tour to
went
the
up 4
media,
years in a row.
and two people who quit,
Because those
well,
record
one got fired.
deficits, no
One got fired from
president added
Como,
more
and
to
one
the
quit
national debt
Q13, which is Fox.
in
So
any
Brandy
4
Cruz
years of
and
my
Jonathan Cho.
predecessor.
And
Nearly 25%
Jonathan,
of the entire
Brandy
national
wasn't there, but
debt
she's going to come on my channel and
that
talk
took
about
over
it. Jonathan,
200
however,
years to
went
accumulate
as a new
was
employee
added
of
by
a
just
public
one
policy think tank
administration alone,
to
the last
see
one.
as like
They're the
part of
facts.
their
Check it
media
out.
group to see the megaplex for homeless people.
Check it out.
And they turned him away, saying
How
he's
did
not
Congress
a
respond to
journalist.
that
So
day?
they're going to come on Monday because the
They did
government
the
is now
right thing. They
deciding
lifted
who's a
the debt
journalist and
ceiling
who gets
3
to go in
times
and
without
see
preconditions
a
or
taxpayer-funded building. I
They
mean, why do
paid
you have to be
American
in the media
bills
anyway?
to prevent
Why do you
an
have to
economic
be in the
disaster
media
in
anyway?
the
If you want
country.
to show up and see it, shouldn't you
So
be able to
tonight
do
I'm
that?
asking the
If
Congress
I like
to
show up
follow
one day
suit.
and I'm like, today I'm going to be a
Let's commit
journalist
here tonight to
because
the
I'm
full
going to do
faith and
journalism.
credit of the
Why
United
can't I
States
show up and
America
get into the
will
homeless
never, ever be
megaplex?
questioned.
All right, let's listen to Biden
So
for a
my-
second. Sorry,
some of my Republican friends
getting off topic.
want to take the economy hostage. I get it, unless I agree to their economic plans. All of you at home should know what those plans are. Instead of making the wealthy pay their
He
fair
made
share,
cheaper
some
only for
Republicans-
seniors on Medicaid.
Some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority.
Uh-oh. Republicans
Let
want
me give
Medicare
you
security to
Anybody
sunset.
who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote.
Look, and he's
I'm
just
glad to
smiling,
see
and they're
it.
yelling
I'll
at him
tell
like
you,
it's an
I
NFL
enjoy
game.
conversion.
Do you believe these people don't like each other?
You know, it means if Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away. Other Republicans say, I'm not
We will
saying
build
it's a
back
majority
better
of
after
you.
the
I don't
war.
even think it's even a
Yeah,
significant-
somebody was
But
joking
it's
that
being
we
proposed
shot
by
down
individuals.
the China
I'm not
balloon
politely
before it
not
got to the
naming them, but it's
Ukraine,
being proposed by some of you.
which was pretty funny. Okay.
Look,
For
Folks,
crying out loud, they gave out free money during the
the
lockdown.
idea is that we're not going to
Wow,
be,
I've never seen that
we're-
before.
we're
Never
not gonna
seen
be
what?
Moved into
You have
being
109 on
threatened
YouTube and
to default on
265 on
debt if we
Rumble.
don't
I know, isn't that
respond.
great? More people.
Folks.
We had 300 watching on Rumble though. Maybe they went to go watch something else. Come back, come back. Throw tomatoes. All right,
So, folks, as we all
folks.
apparently agree,
Got to drink again. He said, folks.
Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be started. All right. I'm ready. We got unanimity.
Oh, you know what George Carlin would say about that? Look, Ted Cruz is just like,
Social Security
whatever.
and Medicare are a lifeline for millions of seniors. Americans have to pay into them from the very first paycheck they started. So tonight, let's all agree, and we apparently are. Let's stand up for seniors.
Okay. They're all making millions.
Stand
Of course
up
they
and
like each
show
other.
them. Will not cut Social Security.
MTG, I believe
We
she
will
said
not
liar
cut
multiple
Medicare.
times.
Those benefits belong to the American people. They earned it.
Man,
If
I'm
anyone
crushing
tries
this
to cut
wine
Social
glass.
Security,
All right,
which apparently no
awesome.
one's gonna do,
AllisonWinePromo.com. I hope that's where it's from.
and if anyone tries to cut Medicare,
Here in
I'll
Canada,
stop them.
medical
I'll veto
assisted
it.
suicide is insane. They are cutting
Look,
funding for the
I'm not
people
gonna allow
depend
them to
on
take
it to
away.
survive due to
They're
childhood
taking
severe
away,
problems
not
that are
today,
being
not tomorrow,
offered
not ever.
MAID
Apparently it's
solves
not gonna be a
mental too.
problem.
I'm confused by that.
Next month, when
They're
I offer
cutting
my fiscal
funding
plan, I ask my Republican friends to lay
For the
down their
people
plan
who
as
depend
well.
on it to survive, people
I really
depend
mean
on
it.
medically
Let's
assisted
sit down
suicide to
together
survive. I'm
and
confused.
discuss our
Doesn't
mutual
make
plans
sense.
together.
Taxes suck. I make money and pay taxes, then
Let's do
spend it
that.
and pay more taxes, then give it away and they have to pay taxes. Pay off a son's student loan and they have to pay taxes. Okay, you devalued our
I
savings.
can tell you.
Meanwhile, this is the most work Kamala has
plan I'm
ever
gonna show
done.
you is gonna cut the deficit by
Stand
another
up for
$2 trillion.
seniors. Half of them are
And it
seniors,
won't
yeah.
cut a single bit of
That was just a
Medicare
test
or
and see if they
Social
could
Security.
stand
In
up
fact,
still.
We're gonna extend
Or
the
get
money
their
to
exercise.
trust
Or the
funds
buzzers went
at
off
least
under
2
their
decades.
chairs or something like that.
That's gonna be the
They
next
probably
problem.
left
How do
because
we
there's
make-
only
keep it
so much
solvent,
creepy
right?
Joe that one can stand in one
Well,
sitting.
Will not raise tax on anyone making under 400 grand, but we'll pay for it the way we talked about tonight by making sure
Yeah,
that the
somebody was
wealthy
saying in
and
the
big
comment
corporations
section.
pay
The
their fair
Canadian
share.
government's pushing
Look,
medically assisted
look,
suicide for
Here's
veterans.
the deal.
That's so nice. They're taking care of their vets.
They aren't just taking
Just like
advantage of
RVA.
the tax code.
But RVA just
They're
lets them
taking
die.
advantage of you, the American consumer.
This would be
Here's
more
my
fun,
message to all
exciting
of
to
you out
watch
there.
if there was an
I have
act.
your back. We're already
ACT
preventing
IV
Americans from
shooter in the
receiving
house?
surprise medical bills.
Oh no,
Stopping
no, that's
$1
not
billion
good.
surprise
I just
bills
figured out what
per
that
month
was.
so
That would
far.
not be fun.
We're protecting
Um,
seniors' life savings
medical assisted something.
by
Yeah,
cracking down on
ID.
nursing homes that commit fraud,
Clyde do something would know
endanger
that.
patient safety, prescribe drugs that are not needed. Millions of Americans can now save thousands of dollars
Half
they
of them can
finally
barely
get a
stand
hearing
up. Good
aid
thing they are
over
wearing
the counter without a
diapers.
prescription.
Stand up for boomers. Stand up for their third homes.
Capitalism without competition is not capitalism. It's extortion. It's exploitation. Last year, I cracked down with the help of many of you on foreign shipping companies that were making you pay higher prices for every good coming into the country. I signed a bipartisan bill to cut shipping costs by 90%, helping American farmers, businessmen, and consumers.
What about business women? Did you guys hear that? That was really, really sexist. I'm offended.
Big online
I'm very
platforms giving
offended.
their own
I'm
products
drinking.
an unfair advantage.
I'm a businesswoman. I should have been included there. Okay, going back to locals.
My
Grow
administration is
potatoes.
also
Can
taking
you
on
say
junk
cognitively
fees.
impaired?
Those hidden
MTG's on her
surcharges
feet,
too many
not
companies
applauding.
use to make you pay more.
If
For
one of them
example,
like stood up and just
we're
did the
making
funky
airlines
chicken or
show
something
you
instead
the
of
full
clapping,
ticket
but they
price
stood up
up
and they just,
front.
I don't know.
Refund
Oh, you
your
know what?
money
Where
if your flight
is
is
Alex
canceled or
Stein
delayed.
when you need him?
We reduced
Where is Alex Stein when you need him?
exorbitant
But you know
bank
what? Here's the
overdrafts
thing.
by
Like
saving
10 years
consumers
ago,
more than
if
$1
you
billion a
trolled the
year.
State of the Union, and because
We're
weren't there
cutting
people,
credit
haven't there
card
been
late
people who have
fees
like gone in there and
by
started screaming?
75%
Am I making
from
this up? That there were
$30 to
people in the past
$8.
who went in and just sort of like screaming as a protest. But now it would be considered
Junk
an
fees
insurrection. You can't do that anymore.
may
You're going to
not
go to
matter
jail
to
for like
very
25
wealthy, but they
years
matter to
before you
most
even
other
go to
folks in homes
court.
like the one I grew up in,
So
many of
people
you
aren't
do.
going to do that anymore, which
They add
is
up to
takes all the
hundreds of
fun
dollars
out
a
of the
month.
State of the Union. You know,
They
waiting
make
for
it
somebody
harder
to
for
come
you
in
to
and
pay
start
your bills or
screaming.
afford that
Back when I was a
family trip.
reporter and I used to go
I know
to
how unfair it feels.
political
when a
events
company
like this,
overcharges you and gets away with it.
it was so
Not
fun
anymore.
when a protester came
We've written
in
a bill to
and
stop it
started
all.
screaming
It's
stuff
called
and
the
had to be
Junk
carted out.
Free Prevention Act.
Because
We're gonna ban
it was
surprise
usually pretty
resort
boring
fees
until then.
that
And that
hotels
was the best
charge on
video
their
for the
bill.
newscast, so we
Those
loved it
fees
when
can
stuff like
cost
that
up to
happened. But
$90
now
a night at
they're going to
hotels
just get
that
thrown in
aren't
solitary
even
confinement
resorts.
and be called insurrectionists.
The idea
So
that cable, internet,
Shipping
and cell phone
companies.
companies can charge you $200 or more if you decide to switch to
I
another
still think
provider.
Allison is
Give me
drinking
a break.
moonshine from those jars. Alex
We can
Stein,
stop
99.
service fees
Baby.
on tickets to
I'm not.
concerts and sporting
I
events.
y'all, I
Make
can't
companies disclose
drink
all the fees
more
up
than.
front.
I mean, if I had a second
And we'll
glass of wine,
prohibit
I'd have a
airlines
headache.
from
So
charging
I'm a
$50
really light
round trip
drinker.
for family
That's why I'm
just to
drinking
be able to
chai
sit
tea right
together.
now.
Baggage
in my
fees
mug.
are bad enough. Airlines can't treat your child like a piece of baggage.
Okay, my social security is
Americans are
taxed
tired
again.
of being-
No streakers now.
tired of
Yep,
being
we're not
played
going
for
to get any more
suckers.
streakers. We say goodbye to that.
So
Banning resort fees.
pass the Junk Free
Okay.
Prevention Act so companies
Actually,
stop
when I
ripping
was
us
at the
off.
Capitol years ago,
For
they
too
removed
long.
them immediately.
Workers have been getting stiffed.
Who?
Not
Protesters?
anymore. We're beginning to restore the dignity of work. For example,
Okay.
I
When is
should have known
Biden?
this,
Somebody
but I
says he's
didn't until
okay.
2
Still
years
waiting
ago.
for good coming to this
30
country.
million workers.
How dare this guy talk
sign
about
non-compete
extortion?
agreements.
Yeah, right.
for the jobs they take. 30 million.
Where are all the savings went?
So a
Poof.
cashier
Medicare Advantage cuts by
at a burger
Joe.
place
Do you think it was
can't walk across
extortion?
and take the same job at another burger place and make a few bucks more.
Would you consider it
just changed.
extortion or just,
just changed
what
it
was the
because
other
you're
word
exposed
people
to it.
use for,
That
take the
was
shot
part
or
of the
lose
deal,
your
guys.
job?
Look it up.
What did we?
But
What
not
was the word we
anymore.
used for that?
We're banning those agreements so companies
not
have to compete
extortion,
for
there was
workers
another
and pay
word.
them what they're worth.
I need to look up a little more because my neck is starting to hurt.
And
Who
I
has
must tell
neck
you,
pain? I do. I'm getting old. One time I
This
got
is bound
kicked
to
off
get a
a
response from my
horse
friends
on a shoot
on
for
my
my
left
old
with the
job,
right.
and I was
so sick
shooting
and tired
a
of
wolf
companies
recovery
breaking the
story.
law by preventing workers from organizing.
Very controversial. So I was
Pass
with
the
I was with
PRO
a
Act.
cattle rancher riding
Because
around
business
with his
have a
cows,
right.
which
Workers
cows
have
are
a right to
female, so
form a
it's
union.
cattle, I guess. But anyway, and
Let's
one of his
guarantee
horses
all
bucked me
workers
off,
have a living
and I
wage.
fell in a ditch with my camera,
Let's make
and
sure
I got a
working
neck
parents
injury,
can
and I'm still
afford to
dealing
raise
with
a
it, and I
family
think
with
it might be
sick
giving
days.
me some headaches.
Paid family
So
medical
I'm
leave.
trying to stretch it, so I got to stretch my
Affordable
neck
child
like this.
care.
So I feel old, but
That's
anyway.
going to enable
And you know what my
millions of more people
boss
to go
said?
and stay at work, and
I
let's
should be
restore
more careful with the
full
equipment.
child
They didn't
tax
ask if
credit.
I was okay. Well, maybe
Let's
somebody
save
did, but
millions of
his main
parents some
concern
breathing
was
room
that the camera broke.
and cut child poverty in half to
Coercion.
the
Thank
lowest
you.
level
That's
in
the word.
history.
Yeah,
And by
coerce.
the way,
Coercion. Yeah.
when we do all
That's
these
what we
things,
use for people. They were
we increase
coerced to take the
productivity.
shot to keep their
we
job.
increase economic growth.
I feel
let's finish
old.
the
If I
job.
sleep the wrong way, my
And
neck
get
is
more
sore the rest of the
families
day.
access to
Same
affordable
here.
quality
Credit card
housing.
fees,
Let's
WTF.
get
Biden's
seniors
nickname on the
who
hill was
wanna
always
stay in their homes and care
MBNA
they need
Joe.
to do so.
He has always been
Let's
the banker's
give more
boy.
breathing room to millions of family caregivers.
What do you guys think
looking
about
after their
cuff
loved ones.
links and the way his cuffs
Pass my
are?
plan.
Because that
so we
that
get
to me
seniors
is
and
like
people with disabilities the
that's a
home care and
dog
services
whistle
they need.
to
And support
Goldman Sachs,
the workers who are doing God's work.
right? Isn't it?
These
Isn't that kind of a
plans
dog
are
whistle
fully
to
paid
Goldman
for and we
Sachs
can
and
afford
like
to
Wells
do them.
Fargo to have your
Restoring the dignity of work means
cuffs
making
like that?
education an
Isn't he
affordable
like
ticket to the
saying,
middle
you know,
class.
I'm with you guys?
You know, when we made public education,
You
12
ain't
years
seen
of it
old yet,
universal
Allie. I'm
in the
getting
last
there.
century.
Because I'm so sleep
we
deprived
made
too,
the
so I
best
feel like I've
educated,
aged
best paid- we became the
aged
best
10
educated,
years
best
since I
paid
had a
nation in
baby
the
5
world.
months ago. Can you
The
believe
rest
my
of us
baby
caught
is
up.
5 months?
It's caught up.
5 months old.
Jill, my
Now
wife,
he
who
is
teaches
talking about letting
full-time,
workers unionize
has an
when he just
expression.
broke the rail workers union.
Hope I get it right, kid. Any nation that out-educates us
Isn't
is
it
gonna
funny though
out-compete us.
how they do like
Any
the
nation out-educates is gonna
live
out-compete
fact
us.
checking?
Folks, we all
And-
know 12 years of education.
Oh,
is
y'all,
not
I
enough
have.
to win the economic
We are going to have
competition
a
of the
big
21st
talk
century.
about something I'm working on right now too. I might as well just show you.
You want to
Hang
have
on,
the
I'm
best
trying to find the
educated
front page.
workforce. Let's finish
Okay,
the job.
this thing. Have you heard of this?
By providing access
Beyond
to preschool
objectivity. Beyond
for 3 and 4 years
objectivity.
old.
Producing
Studies show that
trustworthy
children who go to preschool
news
are
in
nearly
today's
50%
newsrooms
more
by a
likely to
couple
finish high
professors
school
at
and go on to
ASU
earn
who used to
a 2 or
work in
4-year degree, no matter
mainstream
their
journalism,
background,
and I
where they
asked them
came
to
from.
come on, and
Let's
they
give
said
public
they'll
school
pass.
teachers a raise.
But anyway, we're going to talk about that soon in the next few days at some point, but it's an interesting read. You may have seen it at Zero Hedge. They covered it, a couple other people. Basically tossing out the idea of objectivity because
We're
it's
making
basically
progress.
just means white
By
men, rich white
reducing
men.
student debt,
Okay.
increasing
Joe has
Pell
worked with
Grants,
social media to
and
censor
working
political
middle-class
opponents.
families.
My baby
Let's
just
finish
turned
the
23
job.
last week. You aren't
It
old.
connects
I feel like
students
it.
to career opportunities
LOL,
starting in high
Getterlin, you were
school.
on point. What did he
Provide
say?
access to 2 years of community college. The best career training in America. in
He
addition
actually
to
said
being
we're doing
a
God's
pathway to a
work. I
4-year
think I'm out.
degree. Let's offer every American a path to a good career, whether they go to college
Hang on.
or not.
I'm sorry, I'm going to listen to him too and go through comments. The temporary fence they put up around the Capitol for tonight cost $1 million.
Folks, in the midst of the COVID crisis,
Oh, French cuffs.
schools were closed,
Okay, yeah, but that's
and we were shutting down everything.
that to me says
Let's
you're
recognize how far we
sending
came in the
jobs
fight
overseas
against
if
the
you wear
pandemic
French cuffs.
itself.
You should wear American cuffs. I mean,
Well,
who
the
wears
virus is
French
not
cuffs
gone,
to an American
thanks to the
political event?
resilience of the American
That's
people,
so
and the ingenuity of medicine.
anti-American.
We've broken the COVID grip on us.
Okay,
COVID deaths are down by 90%.
let's see. Exactly, Barry. The unions
We've
no
saved
longer
millions
work
of
for
lives and
workers.
opened up
I will agree.
country,
My
opened our
union,
country back
SAG-AFTRA,
up. And
did not
soon
help
we'll
me
end the
when I
public
really
health
needed them
emergency. But
against my corporation.
that's called a public health
And
emergency.
they were like regularly selling
But
out
we'll
contracts
remember
and stuff.
the toll and pain
You have to fight
is
for
never
yourself
gonna go
nowadays.
away.
Can't rely on the unions.
More than 1 million
Okay.
Americans lost their lives to COVID.
He claimed to be
million.
doing God's work. Yikes, they
Families
must have good
grieving.
lightning rods in the Capitol.
Children orphaned. Empty chairs at the dining room table constantly reminding you.
Every time I hear Joe speak,
But
all
she
I
used to
hear is
sit
we're
there.
in a pandemic of the unvaccinated, and also
Remembering
no
them.
amendment is absolute.
Remain vigilant.
Right. If
We
you give
still
everyone
need
a
to
raise by
monitor
taxing the
dozens of
rich,
variants
does
and
the rich
support new
become
vaccines and
poor?
treatments.
Freedom
So Congress
cuffs.
needs to fund these
Yeah, where are the
efforts and
freedom
keep America
cuffs?
safe.
Who wears French cuffs to an
And
American
as we
event?
emerge
Come
from
on.
this crisis-
French cuffs say I'm a D-bag.
Stronger. We're also got to double down
Freedom
on
cufflinks.
prosecuting criminals
Bidet.
who stole relief money.
Okay,
meant to
he is
keep
firing
workers
up
and
the
small
elderly and
businesses
making the young ones.
afloat.
Unions are in bed with management. I agree. Oh, my neck. I need to, Lynn, since you're watching, you need to put the YOLO box up a little bit so I don't have to look down all
Before I
the time.
came
All
to
right, text
office,
extremists to
remember,
President Biden, 302-404-0880.
big issue was about
Or maybe we
inspector
should change it to
generals
French cuffs. Text
who would
French
protect
cuffs.
taxpayers' dollars who were sidelined. They were fired. Many people said we don't need them. And fraud became rampant. Last year, I told you the watchdogs are back. Since then, we've recovered billions of taxpayers' dollars.
Oh, we're talking about the IRS.
Now let's triple the anti-fraud strike force going after these criminals, double the statute of limitations on these crimes, and crack down on identity fraud by criminal syndicates stealing billions of dollars from the American people.
Okay,
And the
I'm gonna
data
read
shows
comments about this because I'll
For
keep
every
my
dollar
comments
we
to
put
myself
into
on this
fighting
one.
fraud, the taxpayers get back at least 10 times as much. It matters.
So the IRS goes after the taxpayer But where are we looking
like the spike
inward?
in violent crime
Where are
in
we looking
2020,
inward at slashing the budget?
the first year of the pandemic.
Okay, I remember when our
We have
unions
an obligation to
were
make
pushing
sure all
for
people
Hillary,
are
and we
safe.
had no members wanting that. They kept
Public
telling us
safety
we were
depends
wrong.
on
They sure
public
didn't like us
trust, as
voting
all
for
of us
Trump.
know.
Fraud
But
is
too
his
often that
area
trust
of
is violated.
expertise.
Join us
Crackdown on your
tonight are
son.
the parents of Tyree Nichols. Welcome.
All right, everyone's standing for this one.
We had to bury Tyree last week. As many of you personally know, there's no words to describe the heartache or grief of losing a child. But imagine if you lost that child at the hands of the law. Imagine having to worry whether your son or daughter came home from walking down the street, or playing in the park, or just driving a car. Most of us in here have never had to have the talk that brown and black parents have had to have with their children. Bo, Hunter, Ashley, my children, I never had to have the talk with them. I never had to tell them if a police officer pulls you over, turn your interior lights on right away. Don't reach for your license. Keep your hands on the steering wheel.
Okay, I just have to
Imagine
say, like,
having to
I
worry
am
like
going
that
to tell
every
my
single
kids
time
to do all of
the
those
kid got in
things.
the car. Here's what
I'm going to
Tyree's
tell my
mom shared with
kids
me when I spoke
to
her. When I asked her
keep
how
their
she
hands on the
finds
steering
courage to
wheel.
carry on and speak out.
Okay, I'm not trying to
The
minimize
faith
this
of
or
God,
anything,
she said her
because,
son was, quote,
but come on,
beautiful
I mean,
soul, and something good. will
and
come
this
of
just
it.
to say, like, there are some a-hole cops out there. Don't get me wrong, and
Imagine
I've
how
had
much courage
cops
and character
like
that
really
takes.
bully me in the past. At the
It's
same
us.
time, it's like
It's all of us.
get through it alive,
We
and
all want
then
the same thing.
I don't know,
Neighborhoods
sue.
free of violence.
But is he
Law
actually going to
enforcement
compare a
enforcement
tire to his
earns
son
the
Bo?
community's trust.
Tyree, you mean?
Just as every cop, when they pin on that badge in the morning, has a right to be able to go home at night, so does everybody else out there. Our children have a right to come home safely.
There are a lot of
Equal protection
Where'd it go?
under the law is a covenant.
A lot of
We
scams
have
these days.
with
I
each
wouldn't be
other in
surprised if it's a
America.
multi-billion-dollar business. People are pretty stupid. Oh, that was back to the IRS.
We know police officers put their lives on the line every
Imagine
single
the
night
loss
and
of
day.
family members to the COVID grift
We know we ask them in
genocide.
many cases to do too much to be counselors, social workers, psychologists, responding to drug overdoses, mental health crises, and so much more. In one sense, we ask much too much of them. I know most cops and their families are good, decent, honorable people, the vast majority. But they risk.
I'm trying to get back to the comments. Sorry, everybody. He should do a ride-along. Is
And
he
they risk
taking
their
acting
lives
classes now, given to
Every time
Ukraine
they
and
put that
illegals?
shield on. But what happened to Tyree in Memphis happens too often.
The talk BS. They have been
have to do
pumping this
better.
narrative for a decade.
Give law enforcement the
Keep
real
your hands
training
on your
they
Vax
need.
card.
Hold them to higher standards. Help them succeed in keeping us safe. We also need more first responders and professionals to address the growing mental health, substance abuse challenges.
Well, you know
More
why they need
resources
more
to
first
reduce violent
responders
crime and
nowadays,
gun
because the
crime.
cops aren't going to like the
community
drug calls
intervention
now and
programs.
stuff, and so then now the firefighters are
investment
having
in
to deal with
housing,
all that. The
education, and
firefighter
job
EMS
training.
people, and so they're quitting because they don't want to be cops. It's a mess,
All
especially in
this
places like Seattle.
Can help prevent violence in the first place. When police officers or police departments violate the public trust, they must be held accountable. With the support
Sorry for your loss, the guy that
the
lost a
families
daughter
of
to
victims,
fentanyl.
civil
Lots
rights
of that
groups, and
going
law
around, and
enforcement,
sadly, no one's doing
I
much
signed
about
an
it.
executive order for all federal officers, banning chokeholds, restricting no-knock warrants, and other key elements of the George Floyd Act.
You know
Let's
what,
commit
though? Like,
ourselves
I'll
to
just
make
say
the words
this.
of Tyler's mom true.
My
Something
husband
good must
trains
come
cops
from this.
in
Something
the
good.
exact kind of, like,
And all of us,
training that they're talking about when it comes to being able to
all of us,
de-escalate situations, not shoot somebody because they're just scared. You know, you don't really know what's going on. You're like, I'm just freaked out. I don't know. You know, like slow down the situation so you don't end up with this kind of stuff happening. And there's no money for it. They don't have any money.
It's difficult, but it's
so it's like I've been
this
hearing
in
this for
this chamber.
years, and
We
then
need
I married
to
somebody
rise
who
to this
actually
moment.
does the work that they say that they want
can't
cops
turn away.
to have, like the training they want cops to
Let's
have,
do what
and
we know
then
in
there's
our
no money for
hearts.
it. So
We
it's
need
all a show. I do know that.
Let's come together
behind
to
the
finish
scenes.
the job on police reform. Do something. Do something. That was the plea of parents who lost their children in Uvalde. I met with every one of them. Do something.
And speaking
about
of
gun
this,
violence. Thank
we're going to
God.
have Jerry Lore on.
Thank God we did. Passing the most sweeping gun
who
safety law
was
in 3
named
decades.
officer friendly. I'm just hang on.
That
I want to get my
includes
facts
things
right
like
here.
that the majority of responsible gun owners already
Lieutenant
support.
Jerry Lore,
Enhanced
officer
background
friendly,
checks
tries
for
to
18
ease
to
tension on
21-year-olds.
both sides
Red flag laws.
at the St.
Keeping
Louis
guns out
County
of the hands
Police
of people who are a
Department.
danger to themselves and others. But we know our work is not
So this
done.
was after.
Join us tonight.
Going
Brandon
back,
said,
hang on. I just want to make
a
sure I get all my facts
26-year-old
right.
hero. Brandon put his college dreams on hold to be at his mom's side. His mom's side when she was dying from cancer. And Brandon,
Right. It was after Michael Brown. Yeah. Okay. So the
Brandon
shooting of
now
Michael
works
Brown,
at the dance
and
studio
then
started
anyway,
by
he's
his
going to come on and talk
grandparents.
about the cop
2 weeks
stuff.
ago,
So it should be interesting for him
during
because
the
when everybody else was wearing
Lunar New
riot
Year
gear, he went out in his
celebration,
normal uniform.
you heard
They
the
started calling him
studio
officer
door
friendly.
close.
He should
We saw a
be an
man
interesting
standing there
interview.
pointing.
Anyway, that's my
Semi-automatic
pitch. He's going to be on
pistol
next Friday.
He thought he was going to die,
Okay.
but he thought about the people inside. And in that instant, he found the courage to act and wrestled a semi-automatic pistol away from the gunman who had already killed 11 people in another dance studio. 11. He saved lives. It's time we do the same.
Thank you, Lynn, for
Ban
helping our
assault
police
weapons
departments
now.
take
Ban
away
them
our guns
now.
again. I'd laugh
Once and
if
for all.
the cheer "Let's Go Brandon." That would be pretty funny if they started saying that.
I led the fight to do
French
that
cuffs.
in 1994.
None of the House or Senate can relate to the vast majority of us that live below
10
1K
years that ban
per
was
year.
law,
They make
mass
laws
shootings
and
went
spend our money
down.
in ways that don't
After
affect
letting it
them.
expire in the Republican
Well, yeah.
administration.
That's
Mass
totally
shootings
true.
tripled.
And they give like
Let's
all
finish
the
the
all the
job
benefits.
and ban
I
these
mean, look
assault
at how
weapons.
rich most of them get when
And
they're
let's
in
also come
office.
together on immigration. Make it a bipartisan issue once again.
Joe needs to be held accountable. Bono is such a tool. Biden having dementia is a grift.
We know.
What's wrong? Well, then what is wrong with
We now
him?
have a record number of personnel working to secure the border, arresting 8,000 human smugglers, seizing over 23,000 pounds of fentanyl.
Oh
in
my
just the
gosh,
last several
7
months.
o'clock. Let's
We've
wrap
launched
it up.
a new border plan last month. Unlawful migration from Cuba,
I'm hungry.
Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela has come down
Okay.
97% as
From
a
my
consequence of
research,
that.
the longest State of the
American
Union is
border
usually
problems
around 50
won't be
minutes,
fixed until
and I think we
Congress
started
acts.
like 10
If we
after.
don't pass my comprehensive
So
immigration
I'm pretty
reform,
sure we've gone
at
over
least pass my plan to provide the equipment and officers to secure the border.
nothing like a president talking about taking away your rights. Gun company
And a
stocks will
pathway
skyrocket
to
this week.
citizenship for dreamers, those on temporary status, farm workers, essential
Joe's making a
workers.
pitch for everybody to be armed.
Here in the People's House, it's our duty to protect
Record
all the
number of
people's rights
people
and
working the
freedoms.
border on what
Congress
border?
must restore the
Bad
right
bunny disease.
and the,
Oh, what are they saying now?
Congress must restore the right that was taken away in Roe v. Wade and protect Roe v. Wade.
Oh, here we go.
Give every woman a constitutional right.
Okay,
The Vice President and I are doing everything.
the Supreme Court,
Protect
which is sitting
access
right
to
in front of you, which
reproductive,
allegedly is not partisan,
healthcare,
made the decision.
Safeguard patient
So
safety.
basically, why do we have a
Well,
Supreme
already
Court?
more than a dozen
Somebody
states
explain
are
to me.
enforcing extreme
Okay,
abortion
aren't they
bans.
by
Make no mistake
by
about it.
saying this?
Congress
Okay, by
passes
saying
a
this,
national ban, I will veto
you
it.
are you not, in my opinion, like are you not
But let's also
undermining the Supreme Court by basically saying we can't even trust the Supreme
Let's
Court
also
to get it
pass the
right because you're
Bipartisan
basically
Equality
saying
Act
that
to ensure
they made the wrong
LGBTQ
decision when it comes to Roe v. Wade. So
especially
is he not
transgender young people,
undermining his
can
own
live with
judicial
safety and
system
dignity.
And hey, I'm
Our
not saying I
strength-
like the Supreme Court necessarily. I do think there are a bunch of partisan hacks, but I'm just saying, isn't he basically admitting that?
Our strength is not just the example of our power.
Okay, this
but
is
the
fun
power
with you,
of our
Allison. I need to go
example.
make kimchi, though. I
Let's
understand.
remember
That's
the
much more
world's
important.
watching.
But you can make kimchi and watch at the
I
same
spoke
time.
in this chamber 1 year ago.
They never
This
took it
day
away. It
is
was given to the
rather
states to
than
make up
put
their
on
laws.
this
No, I
brutal
totally
attack
understand
against
that. Like,
Ukraine.
it's complete
Murderous
BS anyway,
assault.
but I'm just saying,
Evoking images of death and
by
destruction.
saying the Supreme
suffered in
Court,
World
like,
War II. Putin's
we're gonna-
invasion has been a test.
we're going to make sure
For the
that
ages.
we do
Test
something
for
different than what the
America.
Supreme Court decided
Test
because it
for
was
the
taken
world.
away. The Supreme Court take it away.
Would we
I mean,
stand
isn't
for
that
the most
basically saying the
basic of
Supreme Court
principles?
is partisan?
We stand for
up?
sovereignty. We stand for the right of people to live free of tyranny. Will we stand for the defense of democracy? For such defense matters to us because it keeps peace and prevents open season on would-be aggressors and threatens our prosperity. 1 year later, we know
Yeah.
the answer. Yes, we would, and we
Right.
did. We did.
Yeah, so, okay, what Lynn was basically saying is that the Supreme Court did its job by saying, like, hey, we're
Together,
just interpreting the
We
law,
did what America
okay?
always does at our best.
And
we led.
if you don't like it, then,
We united
you know,
NATO.
okay,
We
go
built
create a new
global
law.
coalition. stood against
But when you
Putin's
say
aggression.
that it was taken
with
away, then
Ukrainian
aren't you
people
blaming the
tonight,
Supreme Court? So you're saying the
once again
Supreme
joined
Court
by
made the wrong
Ukraine's
decision?
ambassador to the United
Aren't you
States.
basically admitting it's just a
Represents
partisan
not
group of
just our
people that wear
nation,
these black
but the
dresses?
courage
I
of the
mean,
people. Ambassador
okay.
is our ambassador
The
is here.
Supreme Court said Roe is bad
United,
law,
we're
not a
united
statement
now
on the
to support
government's
your
position on
country.
abortion.
Will you
Yeah,
stand
but that's
so
what
we
they're
can all
saying.
take a
I
look
just,
at you?
I don't understand. Okay, to me,
Thank you.
if you want to talk about like insurrection or people who don't trust the government and extremists, you know,
Because we're
anti-government
gonna stand
extremists
with
or
you.
whatever, as the biggest threat,
As long
and
as
then
it
you
takes.
tell people that they can't rely on the highest court in the country to make the right decisions.
Our
What are
nation's
you
working
doing?
for more freedom,
To
more
me,
dignity,
you
more
are
and more
you are an
peace.
insurrectionist.
Not just in
I
Europe,
said
but
it.
everywhere.
Biden's an insurrectionist.
Before I came to office,
Everybody
the story
text
was
insurrection
about
to
how the
808-44.
People's
Wait, no, here it
Republic
is.
of China was
302-404-0880.
and America was failing in the world. Not
I don't know. I think it's
we made clear,
I just think
and
it's
I
weird.
made in
Okay.
my personal conversation with
even
the many,
Ginsburg said it was a bad
President
law.
Xi,
They don't
we
know what
seek
they were talking
competition,
about.
not
He's
comfort.
basically saying he doesn't respect the
but I will
Supreme
make
Court
no apologies.
and
that we're
thinks his opinion
investing
is above it.
in
Yeah, that's what I'm
making
saying. I mean, if
America
you
stronger.
tell people,
Investing in American innovation and industry
if
will
you
define
tell
the
people, and
future
listen, okay,
that
I
China
actually,
intends
you
to
know,
be
I kind of
dominating.
agree, right? I agree that the Supreme
Investing
Court
in
is.
our alliance,
I mean, that's why if
working
you
with our
want,
allies to
if you
protect
want
advanced
to elect your
technologies
president,
so they will not be used
in large
against
part
us.
because of who they're going
Modernizing our
to
military to
appoint
safeguard
for the
stability
Supreme
and
Court,
determine-
then that should tell you
deter
everything you
aggression.
need to know about the Supreme
Today,
Court, right?
strongest
I mean,
position in
it's like
decades to compete with China
it's
or
clearly
anyone else in
partisan
the world.
if we want to get
Anyone
a
else in the world.
partisan elected official in
Not committed.
in order to appoint somebody we like on the Supreme Court. Okay, so I mean, I agree. At the end of the day, though, if you're somebody
I'm
who's
committed
like
to
trying
work
to
with
also
China where we can
instill
advance
like we're
American
protecting
interests and benefit the
democracy,
world,
you
but
know, that's
make
like
no
their big
mistake
thing is
about
that
it.
we have to protect democracy,
As
the
we
threat to our
made
democracy,
clear
extremists,
last
or
week, if
whatever.
China threatens
You know,
our
and then you
sovereignty,
tell people that
we
the
will
Supreme
act to
Court
protect our country,
stole
and we did.
our rights. I mean, come on, you cannot say those two things at once. What are we clapping about
Look, let's be clear.
now? Okay.
Winning the competition
NATO
should
should be
deny
disbanded.
all.
It's the largest terrorist
We face
organization in the
serious
world.
challenges across
Lynn,
the world.
your wife is naughty.
But in the past
Really?
2 years, democracy
Joe
has
lies
become
better
stronger,
than
not
me in a
weaker.
bar at closing time.
Autocracy
Huh?
has grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me
Yeah,
one.
because you get fired. Yeah,
Name
basically,
me
yeah. The
one.
Supreme Court's a lifetime thing so that you won't like
America's
try to get
rallying the world
reelected
to
by
meet
being
those
partisan
challenges,
and popular.
from climate to
But
global
you're
health
appointed.
to food insecurity,
Listen, I
to
just think the whole
terrorism,
game
to
of we got to
territorial
elect this person
aggression.
so we get our
Allies are
Supreme
stepping
Court
up, spending
appointee.
more
I
and
just think
doing
that
more.
that system.
Look,
What's the other system as an
bridges
option?
were
Tell me in the
formed
chat.
between
I don't know,
partners in
but
the
I just think
Pacific
that
and those in the
proves that
Atlantic.
it's a partisan
those who
group.
bet
I
against
mean,
America
if it was.
learning how wrong they are.
I don't know. Pick them
It's
out. Pick them out
never,
of like
ever been a good
do a
bet to
magic
bet
8
against
ball or
America.
pick them
Never.
out of a raffle. You know, pick them out of a raffle or chips. You know, empty the chip bag. So Biden talked about like making all these chips and everything. So you're like empty the chip bag. You know, put a bunch of names in there. Let the producers,
Well-
Lily or Jack, let one of them pick out a piece of paper. And
When I
that's how
came
we
to
pick the
office,
Supreme
rest
Court
assured that
justices. I think
bipartisanship
that would be way
assumed
more fair.
was impossible.
The way to pass a
believed it.
nationwide abortion
That's why
law
a
is
year
to pass a
ago, I offered
constitutional
unity
amendment,
against
which is
the
very
nations as I stood here.
hard.
We made
No,
good
rare.
progress together.
Hard and rare.
We
It's
passed
not
a
up to the
law
Supreme
making it
Court.
easier for doctors to prescribe effective treatments
He's
for
undermining our
opioids.
Constitution, the rule of law, and almost everything he
passed
says and does. Yeah, I mean, I
gun
totally
safety
agree.
law, making
The same
historic
people who
investments
are
in
trying to
mental
say that
We
the
launched
average
ARPA
just
H drive for
grocery
breakthrough in the
shopping
fights
American
against cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes.
is
There's so
the
much more.
person undermining democracy by going on Facebook while
passed
they're at the grocery store and
Reeve
liking
Robinson
a post
Pact Act,
about
named after the late Iraq
January
War
6th or
veteran, whose
something.
story about
Like, that's
exposure
the
to
person who's a
toxic
threat,
drug kits I
not
shared here
these
last
folks. I
year.
mean, it's so nuts. War is a racket. Government is a racket. Allison, they would have to get, I have to go back, 2/3 of the House and control the Senate and a president to get it made into
Understand
law.
something about those burn
Right,
pits.
so they
There's
just,
so much more to do.
meaning that's just why we do
can do it
law by
together.
Supreme Court now. Are we still
Join us
talking? It's
tonight.
7-Eleven.
There's a father
Slurpee
named Doug
time. Who's
from
going to get a
Newton, New Hampshire.
Slurpee? What's your favorite
He wrote
Slurpee
Jill,
flavor? My
my
favorite
wife,
Slurpee
a
back when I
letter
used to drink them, which
to
I
me
don't
as well,
anymore because they're full of
about his
chemicals.
courageous daughter, Courtney.
I liked,
Contagious
honestly, I
laugh,
used to mix banana
his
and
sister's best
Coca-Cola.
friend,
Those are
her
my
sister's
favorite
best friend.
Slurpees.
He shared the story.
I
also
can't
for
believe
millions
this
and
guy's
millions
still
of
talking.
Americans, and many of you
The
in
only
audience.
reason I agreed to do this live
Courtney
stream was because I
discovered
thought it
pills
would
in
be
high
done
school.
by 6:50, and it's 7:11 right
spiraled into
now, and I'm
addiction.
not drinking a
and
Slurpee.
eventually death from a fentanyl overdose.
Okay. How do we know that
She's
lady
just
is
20 years
actually
old.
using legit sign language? I don't know. I guess
Describing
you
the
have to
last 8
know
years
sign
without her,
language.
Doug
If there's
said,
somebody in the chat who knows sign
"There's
language,
no
let us know. Is
worse
she
pain."
really
If their
doing a
family
good
has
job?
turned
What is she
pain to
saying?
purpose,
Stop talking,
working
Joe.
to end the stigma
Suicide
and
Slurpee.
change laws.
Cherry cola
He
mixed
told
with
us
Coke.
he
There are
wants
no
to
others.
start
Yeah,
a
that's a
journey
pretty good
toward
mix
American
too.
recovery.
I still am partisan to
Doug, we're
banana.
with you.
I like banana and Coke.
Fentanyl is killing more than 70,000
Now we're talking about
Americans a
fentanyl.
year.
And now people are mad about that because border
You
stuff.
got it.
Listen. Do you hear the insurrection happening right now?
So let's launch a major surge to stop fentanyl production and the sale and trafficking. With
What's
more
the
drug
difference
detection
between
machines,
an
inspection
insurrectionist
cargo, stop pills
and
powder
somebody
at
in
the
Congress? They had a pass to get
border.
in.
Working with couriers
Because
like
they still
FedEx
can yell. They're all just,
to inspect
right?
more
I mean,
packages for drugs. Strong penalties to crack down on fentanyl trafficking. Second, let's do more on mental health, especially for our children. When millions of young people are struggling with bullying, violence,
Slurpee Baths
trauma,
for health. I like
give them
it.
greater access to mental health care at their schools.
What about corn pop?
We must finally
Banana
hold
and
social
cherry.
media
That's
companies
not a bad mix for
accountable
Slurpee.
for experimenting they're doing
Too
and
bad
running
it's not
children for
Wednesday.
profit.
Carvel, buy one, get one free.
It's time
Oh,
to
the ice
pass
cream place?
bipartisan
Nice.
legislation
Allison, do you think
to
Joe gets
stop
an enema
big
of
tech
high altitude coffee to
collecting
go to the
personal
salon?
data on our kids and teenagers
If he
online.
is, I really hope he's getting
Ban
twin engine
targeted advertising to children
coffee.com/Allison.
and impose stricter limits.
I was
on the
texting with
personal data that
or
companies
emailing
collect
Twin
on
Engine
all of
because
us.
I was asking about
Third,
microgrind because
let's
my
do more to keep
husband
this nation
likes
as
to
one
spend less than
truly
5
sacred
seconds making his
obligation
coffee.
to put
So
those we
he
send into
buys
harm's way and
that
care for them
crap
and
at
their families when they
Costco
come
that's
home.
just here. Okay, sorry, the YOLO box just went out for me, but I'm back. All right. Oh, good. We're talking about veterans now. Good. This is where I get really
Dennis
fired up.
McDuckett-
I'm going to listen for a
Dennis
second.
McDonough's here at the VA. We had a first real discussion when I asked him to take the job. I'm glad he did. We were losing up to 25 veterans a day on suicide.
And we still are.
Now we're losing 17 a day. on the
Oh, come
silent
on.
scourge
I
of
want to see those
suicide.
numbers.
17 veterans a day are committing suicide. More than all the people being killed.
I want to
in
see the
wars.
numbers.
Folks, VA is doing everything it can,
No, it's not.
including expanding mental
Um,
health screening, proven programs that recruits veterans to help
FedEx
other
will
veterans
fix the
understand what
border.
they're going through, get them the help they need. We got to do more. And fourth, last year Jill and I reignited the cancer moonshot that I was able to start with President Obama asked me to lead our administration on this issue.
the cancer
Our goal is to cut
moonshot.
the cancer death rates at least by 50% in the next 25 years. Turn more cancers from death sentences to treatable diseases.
That was
Provide
it for
more
the
support
VA.
for
He's done with the
patients and their
VA
families.
and veterans. That was
Personal
quick.
to so many of us.
The VA is designed to fail for lack of funding, just like education. I don't know. Okay, I asked my dad about this because he's a surgeon at the VA, and he says the VA gets tons of money. It's like isn't it like the second most funded institution, like like in defense
Wrote us a letter.
spending or maybe even
$1
like
aid.
total. It gets a lot of money.
Before I came over.
It's not for lack of funding, I don't
She was
think.
just a year
I think
old
it's
when she was
totally
diagnosed with
messed
rare
up
kidney disease, cancer.
organizationally.
After 26 blood
Gosh, I'm
transfusions,
tired. This is y'all. This is like
11 rounds of
way
radiation,
past my bedtime.
8 rounds of chemo,
Is he still talking?
1 kidney removed.
All right, I'm talking about cancer. It's a
With a
serious
5%
topic, so I'll be
survival
quiet for a second.
He wrote how in the darkest moments he thought, if she goes, I can't stay. Many of you have been through that as well.
Murmur,
So I
murmur,
understand
murmur.
that, like so many of you.
How about incompetent
He
people
read
working at
Jill's
these
book
places?
describing our family's cancer
I think
journey
maybe, you know,
and how we tried to steal moments
that's
of
partially
glory
it.
where we could.
But not everybody is.
For them,
but then,
that
like, I
glimmer
think
of
about, like,
joy
my
was the
dad-
half-smile
Obviously, I'm
of their baby
partial
girl.
because he's my dad. But
And everything to them.
he was a whistleblower and,
He
like,
never gave up hope.
you know,
Little Ava never
wanting to
gave
work
up.
harder.
She
and,
turns 4 next month.
It was just, you know, without getting into the
They just
sort
found
of
out.
details of it,
Ava's beating the odds.
was retaliated
She's on
against
her
by
way
his
to being
bosses
cured
for
of
trying
cancer.
to work
She's
harder.
watching from the White
So,
House from
and
places
you know what?
not
Having
safe
worked
already.
for government, like I left TV news and I work for
For the
government.
lives we can save.
I did notice there's this pressure to just stay in line, like stay in your lane.
For the lives
And
we can
at
save,
first,
the
when I
lives we
started, I
lost.
thought I was supposed to come with new ideas. I had come from corporate television news. I worked really hard. I had all these connections, and I would suggest ideas in meetings sometimes, and they would always get shot down. And I finally realized, oh, they don't want me to give ideas. They just want me to wait and hear what they're gonna tell me to do, and then just do it. That's what they wanted me to do.
He thought big.
Okay.
He thought large.
The reason I'm also
moved.
watching this is because you were talking.
I believe we can
I'm
do the
tired.
same
This
thing
is
with
like-
cancer.
This is like the longest show I've ever done. I mean, it's not actually. I've talked to some people for 2.5
Let's end
hours on my
cancer as we
podcast,
know
but
it.
I'm exhausted by this.
Cure some cancers once and for all. Folks, there's one reason why we've been able to do all of these things.
You know, the doctors that I
democracy
interview
itself.
say that cancer is going to get
It's the most
worse
fundamental
because of
thing of
a
all.
particular
Democracy.
genetic
Everything's
therapy that is
Wow.
being injected into people,
The last
and
few
it will
years, our
suppress
democracy
your
has been
innate
threatened
immune
and attacked.
system.
Put at
I'm just
risk,
saying.
Put to the test in this very room. on
Okay,
January 6th.
John K., thanks for doing
And
this,
then
Allison.
just a
You're
few weeks
welcome.
ago,
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody, for
Ron
watching. The only
Hughes,
thing I care about in regard to
Lee Wire,
SOU or SOTU, I'm
Salem
guessing, is
Run
how
Leads
funny
to
the bad
People
lip reading video will be.
Violence.
I can't wait for
Woman
that. I
against
love
Speaker of the
those.
House of Representatives.
The only reason I'm watching is because you were hosting. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know a VA doc that is really good, but that is just one doc. In government, it's hard to get rid of bad people. Well, they could have, you know, good doctors, but like the
Tough and as strong as resilient as they get.
the structure around it. I mean, you could have lots of like I didn't know a lot of I wouldn't say I knew a lot of critically thinking journalists when I was in corporate TV, but I knew some that really, you know, they had a good head on their shoulders, but the system would not allow for them to do
Such
their
a
work.
heinous act should
What
have
is
never
Bono
happened.
doing there? Did I miss
Let's all
something?
speak out. There's no place for political violence in America. We have to protect the right to vote, not suppress the fat fundamental.
Here come the lies from the
Honor
left
results
wing.
of our
Lies
elections,
January
not
6th.
subvert the will of the people. We have to uphold the rule of law and restore trust in our institutions. Of
Joe
democracy.
took extra Adderall for
We
this.
must give hate and extremism in any form.
Oh yeah, here we
no
go. My
safe
favorite
harbor.
topic: hate and extremism. To protect our democracy.
Democracy must not be a partisan issue. It's an American issue.
Who makes democracy? Who makes
Every
democracy a partisan
generation of
issue?
Americans has
Tell
faced a
me.
moment where they have been called to protect our democracy, defend it, stand up for it.
Drink every time he says the
This
word
is our moment.
democracy.
My fellow Americans,
Drink.
we meet tonight at an inflection point. One of those moments that only a few generations ever face, where the direction we now take is going to decide the course of this nation for decades to come.
I really hope he's almost done.
We're not bystanders of history.
We don't have a democracy. We have a republic. That's really a good point, actually. We shouldn't be saying
Reclaiming
that.
our power.
Do you think
of
that's
we
part of the
the people.
psyop? I am an extremist.
Facing the
Then you
test
got to
of our
text
time.
Biden 808-44
We have to
or
be the nation we've
0440.
always been
I
at
think
our
I
best.
even I think I know that
Optimistic,
I don't even have to look at the
hopeful,
screen now to tell you the
forward-looking.
number. It's
The nation that embraces light
1-800
over dark,
um
hope over fear, unity over division, stability over chaos.
808-0440.
We have to
Is
see
that
each
right?
other not as enemies, but as
1-800
fellow
is that right? 808
We're
No,
good people.
302.
The only
I need to see it
nation in
again.
the world built on an idea.
Would you like to put your head
Only
down for a
one.
few, Allison? Yes, I would. Put down your head down for a few minutes, you mean? What is
Other nations.
better? Yeah, what is Bono doing there?
defined
Stoop
by
Dog on Locals.
geography,
Man, this guy
ethnicity.
is better than Ambien.
We're the only nation based
Yeah.
on an idea.
I'd enjoy hearing Kamala go into one of her famous cackles. I would
Every
too.
one of us is
I like
created
that.
equal in the image of God.
Where is Corn Pop?
A nation that stands as a beacon.
Everything
of the world.
is an inflection point. He is building for the finally. I
The
think
new
finally
age
you
of
mean finale, right?
possibilities.
I'll
So
drink
I've
to that.
come to fulfill my constitutional obligation.
He was up this
report the
late.
State of the
His
Union.
horns are showing.
Here's my report.
I will
Because
pass
the
out if
soul
we
of this
drink to
nation
that.
is strong.
Political theater without the popcorn.
backbone
But
of
isn't
this
Corn
nation
Pop
is
here,
strong.
right?
Because the people of this nation are strong.
Oh my
The
god.
State of
I
the
would have brought my
Union is
dinner in here if
strong.
I knew this was going to be this long. My father-in-law was a cardiologist at the VA for 30 years. He was on the phone all the time at night checking on patients. A good VA doc. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, like, my dad told me a story about how he felt like a patient needed surgery on the weekend, and he was scolded for that, for making a decision that a patient needed surgery on the weekend because they
I'm
weren't
not
supposed to
new to this
operate on the weekends. That was protocol.
Standing
It's
tonight,
all about
having
protocol
served
in the
as long as
government.
about
It really
any one
is.
of you have ever
I've said this before. What I learned working for the government
I've
is that
never been more
so when I was in
optimistic
TV
about
news,
our
all that mattered was the product. That like the product
Just to remember
made
who
it
you
on
are.
TV at the
We're the
scheduled time, and
United
it was supposed to be
States
good.
of
But we all know that
America,
it's
and
not.
there's nothing,
It's not good. But
nothing
anyway,
beyond our
so it was
capacity
supposed to
if we
be
do it together.
journalism, and it was
God
supposed to be
bless
on
you all.
time.
May God
Those were the
protect
two
our
things that
truth.
mattered. It didn't matter if you rode a horse to your story, or you drove a car to your story, or you were drinking lemonade on the way, or you were talking to your dead grandmother with some kind of Ouija board in the passenger seat. It did not matter if your story made it on television at the scheduled time and it was allegedly journalism. But in the government, what matters is everything leading up to the end result. And they would rather you not have the end result. Oh, it's over. Thank God. What did he say? What was the last line? I missed it. What was the last line? Anyway, I'm just going to finish this story real fast. The government cares more about how you got to where you're going than where you go. They really do. I mean, at least that's my experience. They would care more about the process than the product. And when I was in private business, they cared about the product, not the process. Now, you may say, whoa, okay, because that means that it could be fraud and all these things or whatever. I don't know. Maybe you could make that argument. But what I learned in government was they would rather you end up with nothing at the end of the day, but having followed all of the protocol, than to have screwed the protocol and actually gotten your job done. I'm telling you, that's how it works, okay? That's my final word. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for reminding us we're a constitutional republic, not a democracy, so we don't have to worry about protecting democracy because we're not a democracy. Something about God bless America. If you've ever thought about disconnecting cable, this should be the straw that broke the camel's back. Okay, and Allison, he is done. Time for hair sniffing. The last line was, which way do I go? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. All right. And James, I saw a super chat coming in somewhere from James Curran about high prescription drug money brought to you by Pfizer. Okay, but I don't see it anymore. Oh, here it is. Okay. Thank you for the super chat. Okay. Sniff. Thanks, Allie. Time for my one meal a day. Okay, I got 2 kids to take care of. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. This is the only State of the Union I've literally sat through, I think, in my entire life. And I barely even know anything you said because I was talking most of the time. And that's why I got kicked out of Math Honor Society, because I worked really hard to get good at math because I had a teacher tell me I was only going to be good at English. And I was like, I'll show you. I'm going to become good at math. So I got really good at math. I got into Math Honor Society. I was elected president. And I was talking so much that I got kicked out of Math Honor Society. And that's my story. That's what happens. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Don't forget to go to AllisonWinePromo.com or TwinNinjaCoffee.com/Allison. And go over to Locals, too. Become part of my editorial board. When will I see you again? I think I might see you with Viva tomorrow. I'm going to hopefully have Viva on at some point in the near future to talk about what it was like interviewing Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay? So that's hopefully what we're going to do next. Okay. All right. 100 people watching on YouTube. We got 320 people on Rumble. We got a bunch of people in the chat over on Locals, my editorial board. And I'm going to end it. I'm going to end it right now. Okay? See you guys later. Happy State of the Union 2023. In the comments, let us know what he talked about because I'm totally lost. I barely know.